Larry, I like a full-bodied red wine. I like a full-bodied rich wine, full flavor wine. I like a rich, thick, rich, full-bodied wine. You say that, you say words like that, rich, full-bodied, silky. I hear something completely different. Let's discuss that as if we haven't before. Hi, I'm Larry Baker. That's right, going with the cap. At 60 years old, you gotta change it up a little bit. I think this look is me. I'm starting to like this look. I'm Larry Baker. I'm a certified level 2 sommelier here in South Florida in the home studio apartment in Sunrise, Florida. Okay, put your eyes on. Tell me what you see. Okay, straight from Canada. Yeah, what do you see? Nice, thick, full-bodied, rich, syrupy, great on pancakes, sweet, viscous. Those are good words. This is a bottle of wine. That's the end of the lesson. I've read many articles. I've been reading articles, and I'm going to clarify this right at the beginning here of this week's edition of the vlog, is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with liking sweet food, sweet desserts, sweet wine, sweet anything. I have a major sweet tooth. In fact, when reviewers review late harvest or ice wines or sauternes, I always think the scores are overrated, because it's hard to judge those wines. They give them 99, 100-point wines crazy all the time because people, especially Americans, naturally have a sweet tooth. Some people don't, but I think the majority of people have liked something sweet. Some people can't go, after dinner, after they eat anything, they have to have just a bite of something, a little bit sweet. That's natural, right? I mean, especially in America, we grew up on a world of candy and everything. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with liking that. The problem is we are getting to the point, especially in California and in that part of America, wine, we are getting to the point where Wine Spectator, many experts have written articles on their same opinions that I have, that predictions that I'm hearing, at some point it's going to get so overbearing that there may not be any wine lists in a restaurant except for a dessert wine. Because that's it. I mean, this is gorgeous syrup, and I love, real maple syrup, on pancakes, waffles, just drink it. Maple syrup candy. I love maple syrup, especially Canadian organic. A friend of mine brought this back to me. Boy, some of the best maple syrup I've ever had. Just want to open it and just delicious, viscous. But I don't want that in a bottle of wine unless it's dessert wine. Now, a lot of people understand. So, I mean, again, there are people here, like, for example, Moscato d'Asti. In Italy, it's considered one of the most elegant dessert wines in the country. In America, it gets the title for the wine for people who hate the taste of wine, because it's just 5%, 5.5% alcohol and a lot of sugar. And I love it. I love ice wine too, with a really strong piece of blue cheese. But I think you have to understand the categories technically of what is considered. Technically, anything under 30 grams of sugar is a off dry or wine, and everything in between, different category. A bone dry wine technically means that the sugar has eaten all the yeast and converted all of that sugar into alcohol, leaving a zero grams of residual leftover sugar in a wine. Doesn't mean that if it's from a warm climate, you might not have ripe fruit flavors if we had a very warm, hot year. It just means it's a bone dry wine. if technically there is zero sugar in that wine. But the taste could be very silky. That's a bone dry wine. Man, technically anything under a gram, 1 gram per liter of residual sugar is a bone dry wine. My favorite number is 0. But it's getting to the point where wines in the $70, $80, $90, again, I hate to single it out, but Australia, single you out too. And California, Napa Valley, Paso Robles, Central Coast. It's getting to the point where those wines are almost borderlining, in my opinion, and others' opinion too, a dessert wine category wine. Some of these wines, I'll take 1, I'll take under 2, I'll take 1.5 grams of residual sugar. I would prefer 0, but to have 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 grams and an $80 wine that they call a Cabernet Sauvignon is just really, even if you like that taste, it's going to have to be eventually categorized as a dessert wine. And I really do believe if we keep going the way we go in the wine world, that the only category, the only time a wine list will be brought out to somebody is not for your steak, not for your surf and turf, not for your pasta dishes. If we keep going in America this way, we're going to wind up with only having dessert wine. It's just like a cheese course. Cheeses are brought out. You could have it as an appetizer, but in Europe, the cheese course is the course before we go into the dessert course, or maybe not even a dessert course. They always will out the cheeses. Okay, but you could have cheese before dinner. You could have it with dinner on a cheeseburger, but cheese is usually considered after dinner. Well, a dessert wine is considered something you have as dessert or with something very sharp cheeses or certain fortified wine with dark chocolate, things like that, as an after dinner dessert wine. And I don't think that, that a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Shiraz or or any grape that you can think of, Malbec, should be in the category of sugar levels in the wine that they look or taste very similar to what I'm holding here on the pancakes. And that's what it's going to happen. That's my prediction. I go along with Matt Kramer, who's predicted that, and James Lobb from Wine Spectator magazine, and so many other reviewers are saying America is leaving us no choice. You can never get enough sugar look what's going on for an American palate, because look at these bourbon barrel, rum barrel. What do you think they're doing these wines in bourbon barrel wine? Well, first of all, the bourbon barrel has some sugar. It adds some sugar and viscosity to the wine, and also sweetness and vanilla that's why bourbons have that aftertaste of vanilla. So all they're making, those wines are 15.9, 16% alcohol, and they've got 10, 11, 12, 15, 20, 23 grams of sugar, and they're supposed to be, I like my Cabernet or my Chardonnay with 13, 14 grams of sugar. It's not much different than an ice wine or a dessert wine, technically, as far as whether it's a bone dry wine, an off dry wine, a semi-sweet wine, a demi-sec, or a dessert wine. And I think we're doing that. And we're ruining other countries. Some of my wine collectors have said that we have ruined South America. Blame America for ruining South American wines. We've destroyed them. I'm starting to where I can't drink anything from Argentina and Chile anymore, with very few exceptions. And usually when a French person consulted on the winemaking or actually owns the property in Argentina and makes the wine there. And like the Cuvelier family. I love that family. They own Chateau Léovel Poifer, and they own Chateau Lacroix, and they also make Chateau Peugeot in Moulin-Médoc. Bordeaux family owning property in Argentina, but making wines in the Bordeaux standard and not with 20 grams of residual sugar in the wine. And that's why those South American wines don't taste like American wines, because I can't tell the difference anymore between South America and California or Australia. Can't tell the difference. It's all just maple syrup. And that's fine. Again, I'll repeat it again, there's nothing wrong with liking sweet wines or sweet anything. I love it. But where should they be placed in the dinner? Well, you can do whatever you want, but technically, in any winemaker's opinion, a wine with 15, 20 grams of sugar is not a wine that can be technically considered a dry wine or even an off-dry wine. It's not a medium dry wine. It's not a fruitful. It's not a silky, full-bodied wine. And people, Americans' palates are so spoiled that they will actually tell you that the wine that has that high level of residual sugar in the 19, 20 grams of sugar to them is a full body. I want a full body dry wine. I want a full body rich wine. You say full body, I hear sugar. You say rich and lush, I hear sugar. You say I like a little bit sweet, I hear you like very sweet. That's the American palate. And these countries in South America, who do you think they export their wine? Who's their number one customer outside of their own country? America, right? So their customers aren't happy if they make wines that are bone dry, so they got to make their wines for the customers that are buying bulk wines and selling them in all over America. And American loves sweet, so therefore Argentina, we destroyed the wines that were great at one point, in my opinion, with very few exceptions. I'm starting to taste South American wine. I'm starting to taste all countries' wine that do business with America to please the American palate, where the wines are becoming too sweet. They're becoming a level that technically, no matter if you like them or don't like them, technically you can't. I'm telling you, under 10 grams. Under 10 grams of sugar is still a semi-sweet wine. I'll accept anything under 1 gram to be considered a bone dry wine. 0 is technically a bone dry wine, but a dry wine under 1 gram of residual sugar. You can't argue with the point that under 30 grams, over 25 grams of sugar is what you're going to say, that's your palate, that's great, and that's fine. Then why are we buying Cabernet Sauvignon? Why are we buying Malbec if that's your palate? Why aren't we buying just dessert wines and drinking with steak? Because and plenty of people do that. Do you know how many people I know, that buy 5% sweet, 6% sweet wines, and they tell me that's what they're pairing with their ossobuco tonight? Yeah, that's fine. You can do that, but just don't tell me you want a dry wine. And I feel sad for the wine industry, because I like all types of wines. I like sweet wines. I like fortified wine, and they all have a place in the industry. But because of Americans and our natural tasting for sweetness, and a lot of people these winemakers are just taking advantage of that, and they can't sell a wine that is technically really a dry wine, or even a bone dry wine, or even a semi-dry wine. They just keep making them sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and finding ways to do that with rum barrels and bourbon barrel aging to give you more vanilla, to give you high alcohol, to give you that jammy. They say that's jammy. American Zinfandels are becoming, I don't know the difference between American style Zinfandel with 15.9% alcohol and 16 grams of sugar than the stuff that we put on pancake. And I feel sorry for the wine industry if that is the only time the waiter recommends, or the sommelier has to come over, is to recommend your Cabernet Sauvignon dessert wine with your chocolate cake, if the sugar levels keep going high. And that is what's giving you the cloudy feeling. That's what's giving you the hangover. It's the same thing with vodka. Vodka straight is fine. Any spirit straight is fine. You got to hydrate with water. But if you add the juices with the sugar, and adding those high grams of sugar, orange juice, pineapple juice, cranberry juice, tonic water, diet tonic water, it's got artificial sugar, so it's got no sugar technically, but it's got fake sugar in it. All is what's causing the hangover. So sugar in so many ways, and health aspects and everything, it has its place. I certainly want a piece of chocolate candy. I'll love a Sauterne. I love ice wine with blue cheese to pair it up together. I love sweet wines. Don't get me wrong. I grew up, we have a natural sweet tooth. I'll never turn down sweet. It's never too rich and decadent for me, but I know that for wine, for drinking a glass of wine every night, I don't want to see the wine industry turn out that every single wine is drinking exactly like pancake syrup or maple syrup from Canada. with that kind of viscosity in the wine from that richness and that sugar. And the wines don't last that long either, for aging when they're that sweet. So for further information or questions you may have, what is a dry wine? Does that mean a dry wine tastes dry? Or does that mean it just doesn't have any leftover sugar? It could still be very ripe and jammy. You can have that without having all that sugar. Write me here on the blog, contact me, and I'll tell you how to look up those wines if you're really caring about, you don't want sugar and it's affecting your health, and I'll find you how to do that. Just follow this blog and contact me, and always remember, even what I said, remember, there's nothing wrong with liking sweet wine, because wine is not for snobs. It's for everyday people like you and me. But we have to draw the line somewhere, even if we like sweet wine. This is maple syrup, and this is a bottle of wine, and the two shouldn't be alike. They shouldn't be in the same category or have the same purpose. This is for pancake. This is for whatever you want to drink, a glass of wine or its taste. Get it? I hope we do. Let's cut down on the sugar, please. I'll see you next time.